I said it last week about Andrew Wiggins and Golden State. Kyrie isn't going to be on the Nets anyway. Not really. At least not for half their games. I said it last week about Andrew Wiggins and Golden State in regards to the vaccine. So I'll say it again with Kyrie Irving. Trade him. If he ain't gonna take the vaccine and he can't play half your home games, trade him. How can you commit to any player, even one as magnificent and brilliant as Kyrie Irving, if he's gonna miss half your games? How can you do that if you're trying to win a championship? KD is trying to be fair and open with his brother, Kyrie Irving, because he loves that brother. I get that. But he's also got to be fair to himself and the rest of his team, too. They're trying to win a ring, trying to win a chip. And right now, Kyrie Irving and his anti-vaccine nonsense is standing in the way. And the only reason I say nonsense is because it ain't about left wing, right wing, as Michael Irvin, the playmaker, said. It's about the ring. That's what you came to Brooklyn to get. All of this is just the latest distraction. Hell, a lot of us didn't want to take it. I didn't want to take it. But you got to do what you got to do. You got to do what you got to do. Sacrifices, y'all. Sacrifices.
Yeah, Ikhwan, it's Robo the Rebel, back with a live stream. Today's live stream, we're going to talk about Kyrie Irving and maybe his refusal to get vaccinated and all of the boule bootlicks who are or who have been deputized to come out against him. So first, as you can see there, was Stephen A. Smith. We knew he would be the first to be loud and vocal about whatever our brother's doing or not doing to his liking, which is Kyrie Irving not, well, he never stated whether or not he got vaccinated. I'm going to play that here in just a second. But Stephen A. Smith called it nonsense and never had a conversation with the brother. But this is how these bootlicks do. So here we go. I'm going to play this clip to where our brother, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, has some words to say about Kyrie and his refusal to get vaccinated.
I'm a human being first, and
Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving, well, refusing to disclose his vaccination status today.
I'm a human being first, and obviously living in this public sphere, there's just a lot of questions about what's going on in the world of Kyrie, and I think I just would love to just keep that private and handle it the right way with my team and go forward together with a plan.
So Irving making that statement remotely, separated from his teammates, and because of local restrictions, he won't be able to play in home games unless he is vaccinated.
Okay, let me pause here. So Kyrie never said whether or not he was vaccinated. Everybody's assuming that he didn't get vaccinated because he's been quarantined. He can't be around his teammates because though the NBA itself does not have a vaccine mandate, in this particular case, Kyrie, it is the Brooklyn Nets, or actually it's the New York State that has a vaccine mandate on NBA or just in general, just certain players, NBA players, excuse me, certain professionals, certain professions have to be vaccinated. We saw not too long ago, quite a few healthcare workers were fired or let go or threatened to be fired if they didn't get vaccinated. So these are some of the professions that should be vaccinated in the state of New York. So Kyrie Irving is being quarantined. So he, like I said, he never disclosed again what his status was, but everyone is assuming and we can assume that that's the case. So here Don Lemon plays a portion of the video, and he's going to have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar chime in.
NBA legend Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is calling out vaccine deniers. He's writing about it in a Substack, and he quoted in this article in Rolling Stone, and we're going to talk about it right now. So, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, thank you so much. Thank you for being here tonight and for doing what you do. Can I just get your reaction to Kyrie Irving's statement?
I can't accept Kyrie Irving's statement. He's hiding behind procedure here. Either you understand what's going on and you're going to do the right thing, or you don't understand what's going on and you're going to continue to create all this confusion with your stance. So, we got to get that cleared up, exactly where he stands and what that means to those around him.
Mm-hmm. A source is telling CNN that approximately 90% of NBA players are vaccinated against COVID-19. You think that the 10% should be let go?
I think they should be disciplined. I don't think that they are behaving like good teammates or good citizens. This is a war that we're involved in, and masks and vaccines, they are the weapons that we use to fight this war. And when you're not going to be cooperative with that, you're working against the effort to make everybody safe. And, we can't have that. That doesn't work for everybody.
Okay, so let me stop here. So a lot of people are thinking that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has sold out, that he's somehow no longer the freedom fighter or the guy he was when he stood with Muhammad Ali in Cleveland in 1967. But what I want to prove is, or what I believe is, that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was never that guy. He's always been this way. He wasn't the guy. He wasn't the guy that was the freedom fighter. And I'll play here for you. It took me took me a while to find this. It's crazy that it's hidden. It's so hidden. Well, actually, I never did find the actual press conference of the 1967 Muhammad Ali summit in Cleveland. I never did find the original video from back in the 60s, the black and white, where they actually spoke. It seems that everybody has an opinion about it, and this thing has morphed into urban legend to where these guys went and just stood in solidarity with Muhammad Ali, and that was not true. They actually were, either some of them were paid. I can't say if all of them were paid, but they were all under the behest of Muhammad Ali's promoter, Bob Arum at the time, to try to, and some of the Nation of Islam members that were close to Muhammad Ali. They wanted these guys to talk him out of not joining the military, because there was a lot of money on the line. He was gonna, he lost. Obviously, he lost a lot of money. They were good. They lost a lot of money. The promoters and his managers. So these guys had interest, monetary interests. But Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was with Jim Brown, Bill Russell, and some of these other guys. They actually went to go talk Muhammad Ali out of his stance, and they talked for hours. And to some of their credit, some of them actually admitted that, hey, he was so strong in his belief that he actually changed our minds. Because some of them had been in the military, they did some of the same things. They were just doing exhibition games or whatever. Half of the year they spent playing football, half the year they spent in the military doing exhibition stuff. They didn't see any real combat, but they served. And they thought that Muhammad Ali should serve. A lot of black people actually thought Muhammad Ali was wrong at the time, that he was a coward and all kinds of things. This was the perception of Muhammad Ali during that time. So I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar actually change. He's always been this way. He's always been this guy. He hasn't been the guy to be the freedom fighter and the stand up for oppression guy. Now, did he back Muhammad Ali after talking with him for several hours? Yes. So he gets credit for that. Outside of that, he doesn't get any credit. Neither does Jim Brown, because they went there to talk Muhammad Ali out of his stance. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he can make these things. He can make these assertions about Kyrie Irving without ever speaking to Kyrie Irving. Isn't that something, right? Then he also says that these guys should be punished, even though there's no NBA mandate, right? And we know that there's no NBA mandate because Kyrie. It's been reported that Kyrie is going to play half the games. He's going to play 41 games. He's going to play the 41 games on the road, but the 41 games in Brooklyn, he can't play because of the mandates in New York, or at least in that facility or in that city, right? So right there, we know that there's no NBA mandate. So why should he be punished? See, these old guys, and shout out to the Black Authority, Jason Black. He always said it, and I agree with it. He said, "Watch out for these old niggas," right? And I have to say that, and no disrespect to Kareem, but we have to watch out for these old niggas. You know, the older people get, they should not be on the front lines. This is why we have the saying, young men are for war, old men are for counsel. The older people get, the more conservative they get. That's why you see all of the Democratic bootlicks doing all these silly nonsense, uh, symbolic gestures of marching on a bridge 60 years after, still commemorating the day somebody got their butt whooped. It makes no sense. So they're gonna do things. They're gonna be conservative. They're not. They don't want to push the edge anymore. They're not going to do that. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is saying that Kyrie should do the right thing. He's not being a good teammate. He's got to protect his teammates. And so, wait a minute, you're vaccinated. The other teammates are vaccinated. What do they need to be protected from? Does the vaccine not work? Maybe I shouldn't even be saying this because YouTube is definitely gonna censor this one. But what what is the problem here with Kyrie? And he didn't even disclose the status again, like I said, and you never talked to the man. So he should just outright be punished, and you somehow know his stance. But let's keep going. Let's see what else he has to say. Like I said, I don't think in order to sell out, you have to sell in. And I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was ever sold in. That's the facts are out there. We can see it. We see how he's moving now. You know, if he was still that guy, he wouldn't be moving the way he's moving now.
What about the folks who say, hey, listen, it's my right, it's my freedom, it's my body, I can do what I want, I shouldn't be told what to do?
Well, that's fine, but they don't have to do that within the framework of the NBA and put other people at risk. That's
Put
what
who
we're
at
talking
risk?
about here.
If
Putting
they're
other people at
vaccinated,
risk,
who are
not
they putting
about
at risk?
whether somebody feels macho enough that they're going to go
He
against the
put it off
COVID
on macho.
virus.
Let me stop it here. It's always the shame. It's always the same shaming tactics, right? Because he feels macho. You never had a conversation with any of these players, and I know you haven't, because you wouldn't sit up here and say that they feel macho. You haven't had a conversation with them to understand why they don't want to take the vaccination, but you just put it off on, oh, they just feel that they're macho. Brothers, we have to get out of this shaming stuff, man. This is something that is so pervasive in our community, and it's typically levied by the women, but the men pick it up. It's been so indoctrinated that men move the same way. You'll try to shame another man into doing something that you want him to do. What does macho got to do with anything?
not have any vaccination protection, and I guess maybe it makes them feel brave or
Here goes good.
you
Makes them
know
feel brave.
able to do something that others can't do.
Goofball. I'm sorry. Now I'm gonna go there because now that I'm really listening to this thing, I only caught a piece of it. Now that I'm really listening to it, it's kind of pissing me off with this. Feel brave and do something that others can't do. And if you're protected, you just said the vaccine offers some protection. So if they're protected, then why are you worried about the person who decided not to take it? And then how can you get into the mind of the person to say, oh, he feels that he's brave, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I understand that Kareem, he himself had COVID, right? He caught it. And he said what helped him or whatever the doctors told him, he would have died, except for he was, been an athlete for his whole life, pretty much. So his heart was strong because constantly running, and that's what helped him. But to sit up here and say this kind of silliness, you're supposed to be an educated man. Reach out to Kyrie because since they led with Kyrie, he's the most well known or popular player that's hasn't been vaccinated yet, um, or at least they're putting it on him. Have a conversation with him instead of assuming.
That's not what we should be doing here. We should be trying to
You
limit
already
this
got vaccinated.
virus with all the tools that we have at our disposal.
Worry about
I want to
yourself.
play this. This is see if you remember. This is from LeBron James. Watch this.
And then of course they always pit
Anything I
brothers
do on
against
the
each other.
floor is, predicated to my family. For the majority. I mean, for 99.9% of that. So, it's about the health and safety of my family, and that's what it came down to. Me being available to my teammates on the floor is me taking care of my body.
Do you mind me asking if you're confirming that you did get the vaccine?
Yes.
It's not
Yeah,
a
that's what.
family
Look at that
thing.
smile. Of
So
course
listen,
he
we
did.
haven't heard from LeBron about that since, but the Lakers general manager did say that all players on the roster will be fully vaccinated for the new season. What would it mean if LeBron were to be more transparent about the vaccine or encourage others to actually get it?
Well, I think it would be helpful if he encouraged others to get it, but he has the right not to do that.
I guess Kyrie doesn't have the right to do the same thing. If LeBron has the right to say to encourage or not encourage, he what about Kyrie?
You can't force everyone to do
That's what you're trying to
what you
do.
think is correct.
You're
So
contradicting
people
yourself.
do have the right not to participate in using the vaccine, but if they're going to do that, they should not put other people at risk because they might become contaminated.
They might become contaminated. This guy is laughable. So you can tell he doesn't have all the facts here. He's old and rambling, and maybe they put this guy up to it. I know he for a long time had been trying to get a head coaching job. He probably should have gotten one, but they're gonna die on that racist NBA hill. He and others should have gotten a coaching position long ago, most likely. Um, I don't even think he even got a coaching position in the WNBA, but nonetheless, he's rambling here, talking about unvaccinated players are going to become contaminated. The dude said contaminated when we know vaccinated people are contracting COVID and spreading it. I mean, come on, guy. I mean, this guy.
Their children might end up.
Now you're talking about your children. You don't care about their children. You don't even know these people.
I want to listen. I'm going to go a little bit long because I want to ask you one more question, and I think it's important. You've written about this quote: "The dark reality is that those who promote hesitancy and more research have blood on their hands. Worse, the kind of conspiracy theories and pseudoscience pundits spread is the kind of selective science that white people use to justify enslaving black people." Elaborate on that, please, sir.
Well, the more ignorance that is spread around, the easier it is to confuse people about what's happening. So people who disliked Black Americans at one point refused to give them treatment. In this instance,
Holy crap! He's saying the same thing that
we have
Boule.
people that are trying to confuse the issue and have people not use the available treatment because of who knows what reason.
Okay, these guys are all clicked in. These guys are all clicked in, and it's all orchestrated from the top. He's repeating the same stupid logic or pseudo logic that Roland Martin stated, that, oh, comparing this to the Tuskegee experiments and Tuskegee experiments and so forth is wrong because they refused those guys treatment, but here they're trying to give you something that can protect you. This is the same argument that he's making. Not addressing the fact, and I don't care if those Tuskegee, the descendants of those brothers who were experimented on in Tuskegee, say that they were never given syphilis. How the hell syphilis travel all around like that? And it was on primarily affecting only the men. Yes, they refused. They experimented on. They gave some of those brothers syphilis, which was very dangerous because then they're having sex with their wives and girlfriends, not disclosing that status. So it doesn't matter which way it happened, whether they refused treatment or not. The fact that they experimented with people's lives, and that's exactly that's the parallel that these guys can't seem to understand. Well, they understand it. Let me take that back. These guys are perfectly aware of it. The Democratic bootlicks or their Democratic masters are telling them what to say. They're feeding them words to say, and that's what they're doing. So they have talking points that they have to get out here. To sit up here and say that, oh, people are being experimented on right now. You didn't have enough time. I think phase two of trials of a vaccine is supposed to take 2 to 3 years. Just one phase of the vaccine trials took longer than it took to develop and get a vaccine out to market and start injecting people with this thing. There wasn't enough time to test it, and people keep saying, oh, well, it's been around for a long time. COVID has been around for a long time. The vaccine hasn't. Or based upon what I understand, it's not necessarily even a vaccine, but that's neither here nor there. I don't want to digress, but to sit up here and try to say, oh, it's not apples to apples. The fact is because of the Tuskegee, we don't trust the government and anything that they say medically. So then hence you have this. So stop saying it was not the same or they refused them treatment, but here they're trying to give you treatment to save your life. No, we don't trust them. That's the point. If you don't trust somebody, it doesn't matter which situation it's in, you don't trust them. These guys get this, so they're just out here. They're pushing these dudes out here, and all of these guys are boule. So they keep pushing these guys out here to ramble and spit this foolishness.
But we can't let that be something that pulls us back. We have to educate ourselves so that we understand what is being offered. These vaccines are safe and they are effective, and we have to fight this virus as a group.
This goofball, man. Okay, I keep saying it. I keep saying I'm not going to disrespect the guy, but I can't help it because this is silliness. So he keeps saying the vaccines are safe and effective. Says who? You're a basketball player. You're a Hall of Fame basketball player. You're not a safe. I'm supposed to trust you. But then we understand that the survival rate of catching COVID is what? 98, 99%. That's actually more effective than the damn vaccine. So I'm going to put, even if it's only a part of the protein of the C19 protein into my body, or catch it naturally, and it's a 98, 99% chance that I'll survive, as opposed to I'm gonna just directly inject it into myself. And then what did it say? It's 95, 97, whatever it is. It's still lower than 98, 99%. I'll take my chances with the 98, 99%. Sorry, Kareem, but you're not riding for the people. You're a bootleg guy.
You
You're
can't have certain
establishment bootleg.
people feeling that, well, I don't have to do that. That's insanity.
I think it's important that you point out that they confuse the issue, especially when it comes to the Tuskegee experiment. It's not that they were injecting African Americans with something that was bad for them. They weren't treating them. And the people they did inject with things like penicillin got better. Black folks didn't because they didn't inject them.
Okay, so like I said, I didn't see all of this. I only caught a portion of this, and I was like, okay, I got to react to this thing. So of course, and here again, like I just said, he completes the talking point that I said Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was spouting earlier. Don Lemon completes it because he's a bootleg guy. He's one of these Democratic shills. These guys are all on the same page, and it's orchestrated from the top. They're Master Joe Biden.
Thank you, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I appreciate you joining us.
Great talking to you.
You as well.
Hope our message gets across here, and
it's not. It's falling. It's not.
People like you.
We don't trust you guys either.
Facts out, we're gonna have more problems.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you as well and your voice.
We don't trust you either. We don't trust you either, Kareem. Just
understand
that. Just understand that we don't trust you either, bro. So yeah, man. That's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on Don Lemon. There's so much more I can play here, and I mean I can keep going. I'm gonna add this to the stream here, and this is going to be some background information from the summit in Cleveland, because I want you to hear some of what these guys are saying.
I heard about it when I
want you to hear some of what these guys are saying here. Let's see. All right, here we go. Now, it's funny how Jim Brown is taking a lot of credit for this summit, even though it's pretty clear. He came out either before he died, Angelo Dundee, Muhammad Ali's trainer, he came out and made some statements about it. And I don't know, it was before he died. And this is how we first got a portion of the narrative that, okay, these guys didn't just go there to support Muhammad Ali. They went there to change his mind. These guys, they had him put off announcing that he was a member of the Nation of Islam before or till after he beat Sonny Liston, right? Because he became a member before he fought Sonny Liston and won the title. So they wanted him to put it off. It was all about money for these guys. Money, money, money for them. They didn't want anything to upset the Ali brand, or excuse me, the Cassius Clay brand, right? So now Jim Brown it's funny how history rewrites itself. Now he's taking all this credit for putting this summit together. When he heard about what happened with Muhammad Ali, let me put this thing together and let's go out here and support this brother. And we know that's a contradiction. If you're going out there to support him, you go support him. It wouldn't have taken as long as it did in order to be convinced to support him. Ali had to convince them. His arguments were so sharp that they couldn't out-argue him because he made logical sense and he stood on principle.
People, the police in our community occupy our.
Let's see where it's at.
respect, love you, and what.
Okay, here we go.
I decided that economic development was really the way to go. And
now, he did do that. Much respect to Jim Brown for that.
So much capital. I knew that that would be a way to be able to make changes and bring our black athletes together.
The Ford Foundation gave us $1 million grant to show how we could work within the communities of the inner city and create and build an economic base so that people would have their own businesses.
Our motto was produce, achieve, and prosper. And so our concentration was not a matter of integration, it was our equal rights and our ability to understand how to create a power base by dealing with economics and dealing with education.
Well, I heard about it when I first got to the Browns. Jim Brown, John Wooten, they would be talking about the Black Economic Union.
We had Ivy League individuals that had the kind of expertise that would go with the notoriety of the black athletes and the money that athletes could raise.
So a lot of the shops that the Muslim brothers set up, we were loaning them money for it.
The mixed situation in the country was complicated because there were a lot of black people that didn't like the black Muslims. One of the most dramatic things that Ali did, and one of the most controversial things that he did, was declare himself a black Muslim, a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That was like the kiss of death.
Yes, I was going to ask you, in fact, what attracted you to the
truth, the teachings of Honorable Elijah Muhammad on how black people's been brainwashed, how we've been robbed of our names in slavery, we were robbed of our culture, we were robbed of our true history, so it left us a walking dead man.
See, once you get a lot of notoriety in this particular country and people start thinking highly of you, then there's a whole aspect of what can you do to influence other people.
Being a great
Okay, so part of what Muhammad Ali said there was true as well, that our people have been brainwashed, but unfortunately, a part of the and you know, I have a lot of respect for a lot of those brothers have been brainwashed. I can't understand how some of the brothers are so intelligent, you know, and then they what is it? If they don't, some of them worship him as you know, a God walking on earth. Some of them just highly revere him, which is Fard Muhammad. And you know, we know he's back then. Okay, in this country, he's still considered white, but not necessarily knowing his nationality, we just thought he was white or whatever. But you know, now we do understand that he was Pakistani, and he followed an Ahmadiyya version of Islam. And the Ahmadiyya version of Islam, that's why they teach out of the Bible, the Quran, in the Nation of Islam. So for brothers to be so intelligent and still espouse that, you know, Elijah Muhammad was a messenger of Allah, that he was a messenger of Allah, and these kind of things, you know, it's shocking. And I understand. I mean, I can understand why, because it's like, okay, well, we don't want to practice the Arab version of Islam. We want to practice the black man version of Islam. You know, I can see why they would be attracted, but it was still brought to you by someone who was not black. You know, Fard Muhammad wasn't black. He taught Elijah Muhammad his version of Islam. And then, of course, you know, Elijah Muhammad taught his followers, and he cleaned a lot of people up. A lot of people got cleaned up. So much respect to them for that. But it's just, I can't understand why it's 2021 and the truth is out there. You know, Elijah Muhammad wasn't a messenger of God. He wasn't a prophet, you know. But, you know, that's a talk show. That's another, that's a subject for another day. Let's keep going.
Heavyweight fighter had tremendous influence, not only on black people, but it had an influence on white people also. And the government didn't have an answer for that clear in their particular approach to him. He was a tremendous threat. And one of his quotes was, the Viet Cong, they never called me nigger.
The Viet Cong are not all bad, but America's still dropping bombs. In Hiroshima, Japan wasn't bad, but she still dropped the bomb. In Korea, they weren't bad, but they still dropped the bomb.
See, this brother was so smart and articulate. And I think what his 4th or 6th grade education, he only went to 4th or 6th grade education, but the brother was so articulate, so smart, and was so passionate and had such a conviction that when he spoke, you couldn't refute what he was saying. And this is why I hate that they compare all these goofballs to Muhammad Ali, the Colin Kaepernicks. Colin Kaepernick is an idiot. He wanted to beg, he got on his knees to beg a bunch of white men that have nothing to do with police brutality to beg them to do something. And then when the one white man that had the power to do something about police brutality, whether he was going to do it or not, you didn't go talk to him. And that was Donald Trump when he was president. Now understanding, we ought to be at a place to where we understand by now that, okay, white supremacy exists and white people are not going to end it. It's up to black people to do that. And we have no allies. We have no friends, as Dr. John Henrik Clarke said. We have no friends. We have no allies. So we're in this thing by ourselves. And the sooner we all understand that, the better off we'll be. White people are not going to end white supremacy. We have to do that. So Colin Kaepernick was begging these NFL owners to do what? To do what exactly? They're NFL owners. They're not policy makers. When you had a chance to go talk to somebody that could, he doesn't necessarily make policy, but he could lobby for policy. The president can lobby for policy to get made, to get pushed, like Obama did with Obamacare, like Trump did with his wall and so forth, like Biden is doing now with the Asian hate bill and all this bullcrap that he's doing, is signing executive orders. You didn't even go talk to the man. You and you still silent. People were saying mad at Des Bryant today or yesterday, whenever it was, because he said Colin Kaepernick is silent. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why he's silent. He'll never stand in front of people and have someone question him about what he believes. He'll make little statements on social media here and there. He'll go to a little workout, NFL workout, and then tell NFL, I'm here, stop running, and all this silly crap. He'll make a little commercial for Nike. He's a Nike control asset, a pawn. When has a corporation the size of Nike ever sponsored a revolution for real? And then we saw what happened. As soon as Colin Kaepernick got signed by Nike, people celebrating, black people celebrating, wanting to go buy Nikes, please. And then first commercial he makes, what is it? Globalism. Had everybody in there but black men who were the ones out here getting killed. It had Arab Muslim women and transgenders and LGBT and so forth and so on in that damn video, talking about oppression, not the people that he was supposedly taking a knee for. That dude's an idiot, man. He should never be compared with Muhammad Ali. None of them. LeBron, I know they try to do LeBron James. Please. LeBron James, he showed who he was when he was in Cleveland, and he acted like he didn't know what was going on with the Tamir Rice case. But then the week after that, somebody said something about Nike. Then he got all the smoke for him. And now he everybody thinks he's so socialite. Man, it's all a game. The school in Ohio is nothing but a shrine to LeBron James. It was done by his foundation, which are donors, Nike, and the dang people of Cleveland, Ohio. So stop comparing these guys to Muhammad Ali. This guy was he was the realest athlete there was in terms of uh, speaking out for black people and justice, speaking against injustice. You know, a man with that education, but to be that articulate and smart, and it was his conviction.
Draft, you had ultimate if the government says you must.
I've just heard about it. I haven't really read about it yet. I've been so busy. But
okay, so this is when he
as 1A.
And
between progressive
this clip or documentary, what have you, it didn't include the statement where he said, like he said, first time he was sent in for the draft, you know, he said it himself. He said, I was too dumb. Then without ever retesting me, they reclassified me, and now I'm smart enough to get in. So they classified him as 1A without ever retesting him. Now he's good enough to pass. But before, he wasn't smart enough to pass.
America's resistance to the Vietnam War and the struggles of the Civil Rights Movement. If your number was called in the draft, you had to report for duty, regardless of how you felt about the war itself, or for that matter, how you felt about your country.
Mohammed, there's also a story out over this weekend that later this week your draft status will be announced again as 1A. Now, what's your reaction to that, and will you go into the Army in the ultimate if the government says you must?
I've just heard about it. I haven't really read about it yet. I've been so busy. But as I've said once, and I'll say it again, I think it'll be wise to face the government themselves and the Justice Department, because they're the ones who I'll have to see in the end. That's the law.
Jim calls me and he says, "Did you hear what happened?" And I said, "Well, yeah, I heard what happened." He's talking about Ali. He says, "You know the champ didn't step forward." I said, "You're right." He says, "We got to support him." I said, "No problems." He said, "Get the guys together."
I said, "John, you know, put it together. If we had a meeting with him and we got behind him, if he was right, and we felt that if we could stand up as a unit and we believe what he said, and if he was a conscientious objector, Muslim minister, we would support him as a unit."
Okay, so see, this is the contradictions are there, right? Get together, we're going to support him. You're going to support him. Why even say you're going to support him and then have to double back and say, if he's right? What do you mean, if he's right? If he's truly a conscientious objector, if he's a Muslim minister. He announced his faith years before this. You know, it easily provable that, you know, he was a minister and he was teaching. So then why, because that's not the truth. You know, it's not the truth in terms of we just outright were going to support him. No, you weren't. You were going to try to change his mind. That's why, and we're going to hear in just a second even more of you didn't go there to support him. It wouldn't have taken this long. If I'm going to support somebody, I'm going to support him. You know, we've heard, I'm sure in the black community, you guys have heard this, you know, to where, hey, look, I'm riding with my homie. If he wrong, I'm still riding with him. We'll work that out later. But I got to ride with him at the point. I ain't saying that's right or the smart thing to do, but if you're gonna ride with him, you riding with him. If you're gonna support him, you supporting him. He didn't step forward. He gonna need our support. Well, you just go there and let him know, hey brother, you got our support. All right, now what we gonna go out here and say to these people? And that's it. The meeting should have been 5 minutes. Okay, brother, we believe you. We support you. Even if we don't believe you, hey, look, we support you anyway. Because that's the way he's sounding like he coming off. but we know there's more to it. You know, Bob Arum paid some of these guys to go down there. You know, John Wooten and Bob Arum put some of this stuff together, and I forgot the Nation of Islam manager for Muhammad Ali. I forgot his name. Name slips me right now. Maybe I'll get a chance to look that up here in a second. But these guys, you know, they had a vested interest in Muhammad Ali continuing to fight, and they knew he wasn't going to fight if he was arrested for being a Dodge drafter and all this kind of stuff, you know, and especially if he went to prison. But they were going to strip him of the title. He couldn't fight, strip him of his license to box. You know, he's going to lose a lot of money, and they were too. But Jim Brown he's all over the place, and you could tell it's not the truth. Because if you're going to support him, he didn't, you know, Ali didn't accept the draft. Get the brothers together. We supporting him. Yo, Ali, we coming to you. When we get there, we're going to just figure out how we're going to tell these people we all riding with you. And that's it. Why you got to go there and be convinced? Because you were trying to convince him. That's the point.
And on June 4th, 1967, in Cleveland, Ohio, it all came together. More than half a dozen NFL stars, plus two of basketball's biggest names, in Bill Russell and Lou Alcindor, all came together in Cleveland to meet with Ali and talk to him about his refusal to enter the military draft.
See, talk to him. That's a nice way of saying trying to convince him to join, to go ahead and get drafted. You know, the guy's putting a spin on it. Oh, to talk to him. What you got to talk to him for? Jim Brown said, hey, we support you.
Muhammad Ali, as a young kid, did he really understand what he was doing?
These guys are going to tell the truth.
The guys thought they should at least talk to him.
See?
And try to be sure if he knew exactly what he was doing.
This is the draft. This is not just an ordinary thing. You were drafted. All of us had served our military obligation.
We all would go and do our service in the off season. In other words, when we get through playing football, then we would go into the service. And then during the year, you know, you'd go on the weekends.
My take on it was that I had served, and all of the athletes, Joe Louis and people like that, all went to the service. And that's what my thinking was, that why get yourself caught up in this? You go and what you'll be doing, you'll still be doing what you like to do, because that's the way the military treated it. And then you'd come back home and continue your heavyweight fights.
For me to
see on the outset, that's sound advice. An older brother advising a younger brother. But man, Muhammad Ali had principles. It's like, no, I don't care if I just have to lose boxing, I have to lose money. So, you know, it was a sound advice from the brother. And I'm not, you know, not going to disparage him for what he thought was right, because it is sound advice. Hey, look, man, you ain't going to do too much. You can still box, still make money, take care of your family, et cetera, et cetera. Ali was just a different guy, man. He just had a different code of conduct, a different ethics code. That guy stood on his principle, and there ain't too many could do that. I don't know who. I don't see any athletes doing that today. Obviously, none will do that today, even with the enormous amount of money that they do make. Right? These guys make so much money in 1 year that literally, if like for instance, let's take Kyrie, since we're talking about Kyrie. If Kyrie never played another if he never played another game, another minute, another second in the NBA, he's good. And I'm not counting the brother's pockets. I'm just saying. So all these people, you know, saying this or that about him, man, if he wanted to walk away, he could walk away, he'd be good. You know, he was instrumental. Of course, he was never going to get the finals MVP, for the championship that Cleveland won. LeBron gets all the credit. When they win, LeBron gets all the credit. When they lose, everyone else gets the blame. He takes no blame. He has to take, if he's going to take all the credit, he has to take all the blame too. But it doesn't work that way for LeBron. But Kyrie was instrumental in that win for Cleveland. So everybody knows this. So he has a title. He has money. He has the respect of being one of the great point guards or guards, small guards, whatever it is, the best ball handler ever. He got all these titles and accolades. He could walk away if he wanted. Right? It wouldn't sweat him. And Kyrie's the type of guy that probably would at some point if it comes to a thing of, hey, you're gonna be forced to take this. I wouldn't even be surprised if he did walk away. But there wouldn't be too many more that would do something like that.
Tell him that I believe that you should have gone to the military.
See, these guys went to convince him.
That didn't mean that much to me.
But to him, it would be still going against his religion.
That's right. Principle.
And that was more important to him than anything else. Well, that kind of blew my mind, so I had to step back.
And much respect for him for saying that. He's telling the truth. This is what went down there to happen, man. This is the reason why they went down there. They didn't go down there just to support him outright. They went down there to convince him to go ahead and join the draft. Because, hey, man, you ain't going to do too much work. You still get the box, still make your money, blase, blase. And this brother had the courage to tell the truth that, hey, this guy changed my mind. Like, that blew me away. He ain't never seen nobody stand on his square like that. And I respect him for that, telling the truth.
Because what he was saying now was so much stronger than me.
Yeah,
After having
so much stronger than me.
Sit with him 3 to 4 hours or whatever it was, I'm not sure of the time. And it was really like standing up and being counted in a real war. Ali knew he was going to lose money, knew he was going to lose his championship. He just knew that he had to stand on his principles.
Most people, when you take their livelihood, they'll make a U-turn on where they was going.
That's right.
But Muhammad Ali didn't make no U-turn. He said, over the dollars, man, I got principles. I'm a man, I'm gonna stand over the dollars.
I believe in the Holy Quran. It says, we who declare ourselves to be righteous Muslims do not take parts in no wars, no way, fashion, or form which take the lives of other humans unless it's a holy war declared by God himself. And I think anybody in his right mind, if he knew it was God calling him, he would fight for God.
Russell said, Champ, you have totally convinced me.
See? Even Bill Russell.
As a matter of fact, if you can get the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to just ease back on that rib and chop, I'll join y'all tomorrow.
See, the brother's making a joke about Bill Russell saying, hey, man, if he can let me continue to eat pork, I'll join y'all tomorrow. See, Ali convinced them. They were trying to convince him. This young man stood on his principle and was articulate enough, intelligent enough to convince, 12 to 15, older, most of them older, maybe except for Lou Alcindor at the time, but Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But they went down there to convince Muhammad Ali to join the draft and join the military. They didn't go down there straight to support him like Jim Brown said. Even Jim Brown said we talked to him 3 to 4 hours. Why? If you support him, that conversation is 5 minutes, 10 at the most. By the time you finish dapping up and everybody dapping each other up and so forth and so on, that conversation is 5 minutes. Look, bro. Look, brother. What you want to go ahead and tell this press? What do you want to tell these white folks? Let's get on the same page. We tell these white folks, hey, we supporting you. That's it. We behind you 100%. But then the other burning question is, these brothers still stayed in there with their jobs and their money and so forth and so on. How many of them actually helped out Muhammad Ali and his family financially? We know the one guy that Muhammad Ali did the most wrong to actually helped him out, and that was Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier was giving him money, and yes, Ali was hyping up the fights, and he went too far a lot of the times about some of the stuff that he said about Joe Frazier. And this dude was giving you money when he was the champ, and you couldn't box. Then gave you the title shot when you came back.
It was all over. He was still able to make a joke of it too, because he said, guys, the press is waiting on it. Press all over the place outside the door. He said, look, this is what we ought to do. We'll all go out there and we tell the press that we believe in Muhammad Ali, thanks, and we're going to go into the service in his place.
See? Look how smart the brother is. Look how smart Muhammad Ali is. He said, this is what we're gonna tell these white folks. All right, we love him so much, we're gonna go in the military in his place. See, conversation, if they supported him, conversation is very short. Oh man, this guy. I almost don't even want to play this part. I can't take this guy.
It was about 12 going on 13 when the Ali Summit happened. And I remember how impressive it was to me, because these were the biggest guys in sports. I mean, you talk about Muhammad Ali and Jim Brown and Lou Alcindor. You couldn't get bigger than that.
The courage of these individuals, I look at them as courageous individuals who understood that they could be blackballed and so forth and so on.
There wasn't no risk for me because it didn't matter to me. I didn't value that role as a professional football player as much as I valued a role as a man supporting Ali. I knew I wasn't going to play football all of my life, but I do know that the rest of my life I had to be a man.
And see, now that's real. That's real talk there. You know, you ain't gonna play football forever. Just like these guys, you're not gonna be a basketball player forever, but you gotta be a man forever until you die. So respect to some of these brothers out here telling that they actually told the truth about what happened at this summit. Because the summit don't got switched. These liberals and especially people like Max Kellerman like to portray it as something that it wasn't. You know, it was this kumbaya. Or we just going to support Muhammad Ali because we believe in what he believes in, and we believe in his stance, and we believe in him taking a stance against the war. No, they tried to convince this dude to go into the military, man.
There were 11 of them altogether,
Okay, so
flanking Ali on that monumental day in Cleveland. The champ was prepared to pay the biggest price. Stripped of his title belt, excommunicated from the sport he'd dedicated his life to. And there was also huge risk for the rest of the folks in that photograph. Consequences they would have to face themselves. All of these elements were part of the realities that they would spend their careers getting to know far too well.
I saw racism. I understood that it existed in the league, but I'm on an airplane with the Cleveland Browns going to Los Angeles to play the Los Angeles Rams, and the owner comes up to me and asks me what I'm reading. I said, I'm reading a book. What book you reading? I'm reading The Message to the Black Man by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He said, I don't want you to read that book. This is a man talking to another man, telling him what to read. So it's obvious to me that Mr. Modell thought he owned me. He didn't think I was a player on his team. He said, I own you, man. I tell you what to read.
It's just one big club with the owners. You know, they're just one big club. And back then, and one of them called the other one and said, well, hey, don't deal with him. You know, he's a troublemaker or whatever. And they use that. And that's what they used to use back then in the 60s.
I was blackballed because of my attitude. And when they put me on waivers, Atlantic Falcons claimed me off of waivers. Then the Browns withdrew the waiver. Said, no, we're gonna keep him. Then they put me on waivers again, and the Detroit Lions claimed me off of waivers. And then the Browns withdrew it. Said, no, we're gonna keep him. It's a form of blackballing.
The backlash was not going to be any worse than the discrimination that we were going through, and the fact that if we didn't stand up, nothing would happen.
So basically, you had no choice. If you had any power, you had to use that power.
Yesterday and today.
Oh,
The
see here.
connections are.
Oh, okay, I gotta stop it. I'm done. All right, I'm done. As soon as you put this damn Kaepernick up there, I'm finished. That's pretty much the end of the video. That's pretty much what I wanted to show to prove that Kareem has always been this guy. He was that guy back in '67 trying to convince Muhammad Ali to join the military. So he urban legend is what um got people thinking, okay, well, he sold us out. In order to sell out, you have to sell in or you have to buy in. And he never bought in, you know. Um, like I said, do I give him credit for standing with Muhammad Ali eventually after he convinced him? Yes, he gets credit for that. All of them do, especially these brothers telling the truth now, now that they're older. Especially them, they get the most props, you know. But we have to look at history. Kareem is a boule guy. He's just reciting the talking points at this point, man. He's not trying to cause any waves. He wants to be accepted. You know, um, and I'll say one other thing. What the brother was saying about how he got put on waivers, then somebody else wanted to pick him up. Then the Browns said, "No, we take him off." Then they put him back. Then somebody else wanted to grab him. Then trying to keep the brother in limbo. So the credit that I'll give, and this is to digress the point, but to LeBron James, his greatest attribute is player empowerment. These brothers can go wherever you want to go. Damn the owners, damn the fans. You want to team up with 2 or 3 superstars, whatever, and get you a ring, do it. You want to go over here because you're gonna make more money over here, do it. No loyalty to these teams, companies, whatever it is, because they don't have no loyalty to these players. The NBA's got that down. The NFL really needs that because unfortunately, and I'm not an expert on, um, the NFL contracts or whatever they call it, the collective bargaining agreement, the CBA. Not an expert on that stuff, but I do understand that, you know, in the NFL, we have some of the biggest coons coming out of the NFL. And it's because their money isn't necessarily guaranteed like it is in the NBA. So that's unfortunately. So they have to get that player empowerment piece down like the NBA. You know, boxers are taken care of. Floyd Mayweather has shown how to leave the sport with your faculties intact and not broke. You know what I mean? People can keep saying how this guy is going broke. This guy's not going broke. But if he can pick up another $100 million, why not? For easy work fighting Jake Paul? Hell, if I could do it, I would. I'll fight Jake Paul for $50 million or whatever it was, right? And I mean, and I'm saying that in the aspect of, okay, I was a professional boxer anyway. I mean, he boxed his whole life. So he's the professional boxer. Why not box this guy for another $30 million? It's going to his family anyway, because he ain't gonna be able to spend all the money that he has. So he should do that. Nothing but respect for him. LeBron James should make as much money as he can to leave it to his family, his kids, whatever. That player. So in player empowerment, hats off to LeBron James and Floyd Mayweather. But so brothers, you know, just because a brother is old, it doesn't mean that he's an elder. You know, doesn't mean that he's a rider for black people. Everybody can be criticized no matter what they might have done in the 60s, because actually if we look at the scales, we're pretty much in the same place, right? There's no open Jim Crow, but in terms of economic empowerment, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we haven't moved one iota. We still control 1% of the wealth or whatever it is. So we haven't moved in that regard. Yeah, there's no open Jim Crow. It's just de facto now. But anyway, those are my final thoughts, brothers. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is an establishment guy. He's a bootleg guy. Don't be surprised for anything else coming out of his mouth from this point forward. He's going to continue to walk the same line, the line that he's always walked, in my opinion, or actually facts say it. He's walked the same line. Stop comparing Colin Kaepernick to Muhammad Ali. He's not in the same. He shouldn't even be mentioned in the same breath, except for to say he's nowhere in the same breath or the same league as Muhammad Ali. So, masalama ikhwan.